What's going on? Boys, the last 2 months have been wacky. One of my decent acquaintances' only daughter died the other day. And she was his only kid, but she's also leaving behind a kid. Death in any vicinity always hits me weird. As in, on an emotional level, I shouldn't feel anything because I didn't know her that well. However, imagining what my acquaintance and his grandson are going through right now emotionally is upsetting. As in, on the one hand, you are closer to the grave than you are to the cradle with only one child, and she's gone now. And then on the other side, your balls haven't even dropped yet, but your mom is gone. Like, you've lived long enough to have known her, but you haven't reached the age one could feasibly deal with it. Not in a fuck you deal with it way, but the emotional tools to deal with it. Not that losing a parent is ever easy, losing anyone is ever easy, but for a child to be developed enough to hard to explain, to understand individuality well, like to know a person as a person, but then have that person, your mother, your caregiver, taken from you without the depression blanket to manage it. That's fucking brutal, dude. So it's hitting a little bit on that front. Not the loss, but it's like when my grandfather died. When I found out my grandfather died, or my paternal grandfather died, I didn't feel anything until I saw other people reacting. I think the way to put it is I don't feel sad about it because on the it level, there isn't a lot for me to be sad about, but I feel very bad for them. That's like a collateral of emotional damage. But to move away from the for them emotional side of things and to the drier about it side of things, it feels like watching someone die next to you in a trench. I met her the night she got here, and I watched her settle in and start rebuilding her life, kinda the same way I did. Am, still. So, while we were never close, aside from my knowing her father, it's like watching a not so young anymore adult mirror get shattered. And there are a few people I know like that around here. Similar age, similar sorts of backgrounds, just trying to make it. And again, it's weird because I know what I'm feeling for them, but I recognize that I am feeling something about it, but I don't know what that feeling is. It feels like the way crow or magpie death rituals look. And the way it happened, there's this feeling of shit. It could have been me. It could have been any of us. It could have been anyone, granted, but it could have been any of us, as in this, like, yuppies but without the money age demographic. Like someone is poking you and saying, hey, stupid, don't forget not to get comfortable. And that leads into something I have been thinking about more lately, which is taking things for granted. Now, you'll always hear people say, appreciate the small things, or years ago I made a video, enjoy every sandwich, and live in the moment. And I have learned to hate that shit. Because they're like sunflower corn syrup sentiments that don't really mean anything. At least the way they are typically presented, in addition to the ends those sentiments are usually chasing, which is some kind of happiness. Now, living in the moment is a fucking stupid sentiment. Everyone is always living in the moment, but how you perceive the moment is different. And that's not a bad thing. When people say live in the moment, they mean head empty, hold hands, and jump around in a circle. If we're going to use live in the moment, I think a better way of meaning that is one, understand that you are already in the moment, and two, the way you perceive the moment is important. And don't let fucking drooling people try to knock you off what you are. Meaning, because you are already in the moment, try to figure out what your moment means to you, or how you perceive your moment means to you. But then we get into the more interesting one, appreciating the small things. Now, under normal circumstances, that's another one I don't like, because if you try to appreciate the small things or enjoy every sandwich, what you end up doing is you end up trying to strangle meaning and sensation out of every little thing. And it feels bad, you feel like you're never getting enough, you're like a junkie. You're chasing a high other people tell you you should be chasing. It's nonsense, I don't like it. However, I think there is value in, and you can learn to stop taking things for granted as much. And that isn't a corn syrup sentiment. That isn't chasing a high. That isn't worshiping at the altar of shit in your life. Rather, it's recognition, no matter how bad you feel, things really could be a lot worse. You want to cry? The world will sure as shit give you something to cry about. If not now, then soon. The things you have that you feel are making you so miserable, they're going to be taken from you. And you're going to realize just how much you actually had to lose now that you've lost them all. Fortunately for you, whatever you have right now, you haven't lost yet. So you don't need to be jumping for joy over them. You don't need to be super thankful. You can still be a victim, because you're going to become a much bigger victim here shortly. Spin the wheels and figure out what else is going to be taken from you and how it's going to be taken from you. What I mean here is in recognizing that things really could get worse and are going to get worse. Count on it. You can not feel as bad. You can dread the future, you can dread the horror that's coming your way, but in dreading the future, you can enjoy what you have right now a little better. Or at least not hate it. Because if you think you hate your life right now, you're gonna hate your life so much worse here shortly. You're living in the good times right now, actually. And you have an opportunity to realize that. Because again, I cannot stress enough, you have no idea how much worse things can get and are going to get. And I like looking at things this way because you aren't chasing a manufactured high. You aren't strangling life trying to achieve peace. However, they managed to trick you into doing that. They tricked me into doing that. I don't know how. It seemed obvious. I mean, it actually took Alan Watts saying or discussing strangling life to try to fucking get every little drop out of it, being ridiculous, enjoying every sandwich. It's just ridiculous. Recognizing that things are going to get worse, so much worse than you can even begin to imagine right now, makes relaxing now a little bit easier, no matter how bad things are. Because as bad as things are right now, it is going to get so much worse. Don't sweat what's going on right now, because you are going to be too fucked up to sweat about anything here soon, and there won't be anything you can do about it. So for today, have a laugh. I've started snorting snuff off the horse chopper because it's ridiculous. It's actually more efficient because of the tip of the blade is small enough that I can measure out quantities easier, and it's just ridiculous snorting shit off a horse chopper. And I'm not super worried about cutting my nose open. I haven't cut my nose open yet, but what does it matter? You could be dead tomorrow. More likely you're going to be crippled and homeless tomorrow because the universe really likes dragging this shit out. But I will say one other thing in that vein, thinking about, we were thinking last time, a few times ago, about that doubt, that background radiation of doubt, that what if there really is just nothing thing. I was thinking about that a little more. To accentuate the why is there something instead of nothing question. Now that question by itself doesn't mean that there is greater purpose or there is meaning or any of these things. And again, we're assuming the worst here. This is the worst case scenario. But one aspect of the universe I think is important when considering the question why is there something instead of nothing is the fact the universe flows toward efficiency. No matter how off track energy or exchange gets, eventually it course corrects back into whatever is most efficient. And what is most efficient? Entropy. Entropy leading to nothing. Because nothing, the lack of something, the lack of exchange, the lack of movement, the lack of energy, is more efficient than anything because there is nothing to need to be efficient about. It's done. It wraps itself up. Meaning, if the universe is moving in an entropic direction, if the universe is inclined to make everything nothing, complete nothing, then why is there something? It's the same question, except noting the fact existence would really prefer there were not something. Yet there is. We are. Again, that doesn't put the wind back in the sails when you are looking at things or feeling as well the worst. But it is better than complete nihilism. From the monad springs something. Something comes out of there. And that question creates... there's something in there. The fact there is a naturally building case, even when you're looking at things from the most nihilistic point of view, there's something there. The fact that there is at all a case at all, when you're looking at it from the worst, even if it doesn't make you feel better, it's something. But that about rippity wraps this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching, because I certainly enjoyed making it. Weird feelings today. I am not explaining things as well as I tried to, but I hope you'll bear with me. Like if you enjoyed, because it helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes, and comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Really, we have a lot of fun on this channel. So much fun, in fact, you can scoop it up on the tip of a blade and jam that sucker up your nose and sniff gently and enjoy the fragrance. And I think the reason nasal snuff was popular was it's like vaping. It's a whole lot like vaping, actually, in the sense that it's smokeless and you don't like sit there and do it. It's more like you take little hits over the course of a long time. That's what I'm doing on this channel, and I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.